Have you ever been there trying to figure out if someone's interest is for real or if you're just being played? It is so frustrating. But what if I told you there's a way to see right through it? A toolkit of sorts. Let's build it.
And look, if this feels familiar, you are definitely not alone. Studies show that 1 out of every 3 people has had their feelings messed with. So yeah, this is a pretty universal problem we're talking about.
So, the big question is, how do you learn to read what's really going on? Well, the good news is, there are proven psychological cues that cut right through all the noise, and we're about to break them all down.
This all comes down to what we can call the deception dilemma. You know, that gap between what someone says and what they actually feel. And the secret is simply knowing what to look for. So to solve this, we're going to build a 3-part attraction detector kit together. And we're going to start with the one thing people just can't fake, their body language.
All right, part 1. This is all about the unspoken stuff, the nonverbal cues. Because let's be honest, what isn't said is often way more important than what is.
You know, former FBI agent Joe Navarro says that the most honest parts of our entire body are our feet. So why our feet? Well, think about it. They're the furthest from our brain, which means they're the least controlled. They show our true fight-or-flight instincts before we even realize it.
Now let's talk about touch. Navarro points out a massive difference here. A genuine, warm touch uses the full palm. It shows connection. But a touch that's only with the fingertips, that's creating distance, both physically and emotionally. It's polite, but it's not real interest. And this goes way back, deep into our evolutionary psychology. The phrase, giving the cold shoulder, is totally literal. We physically turn our torsos away from things and people we dislike or distrust. But if her feet and her torso are pointed right at you, that is a huge green flag for genuine engagement. Okay, here's a super subtle one to look for. It's called the eyebrow flash. It's this really quick, subconscious lift of the eyebrows the moment she sees you. Babies do this when they see their mothers. It's a primal, universal signal that basically says, hey, I recognize you and I'm happy about it. Now, you gotta be on the lookout for contradictions. Let's say she's nodding yes, but at the same time, she's pursing her lips. That lip purse is an unconscious signal of disagreement. So her words might be saying one thing, but her body is practically screaming the opposite.
And finally, for unspoken signals, this is the ultimate red flag, contempt. The psychologist John Gottman found that this little one-sided smirk or a subtle eye roll is the single most destructive emotion in a relationship. It signals that she feels superior to you. If you see this, it's a hard no.
Okay, on to part 2 of our toolkit, her voice's hidden truths. We've talked about what you can see, but now we need to talk about what you can hear, the tone, the pitch, and the rhythm of her voice.
And the key concept here is something called a cluster. See, a single slip-up, like a voice crack, could just be nerves. It means nothing. But professional lie detectors, they look for a cluster. 2 or more of these little inconsistencies happening together. That's a much, much stronger signal that something's off.
So what goes into one of these deceptive clusters? Well, first, a higher vocal pitch, because our vocal cords literally tighten up when we're stressed. Second, clearing the throat a lot. It's a classic stalling tactic. Third is a weird delay in emotion, like she says she had fun, but her voice only sounds happy a full second later. And finally, giving super short answers. It's just harder to keep a complicated lie straight, so people say less.
And now for the final part of our toolkit, when words become weapons. We've covered the unspoken and the half-spoken. Now let's look at the words themselves and how they can be twisted and used to manipulate.
So, verbal manipulation usually follows a pretty predictable 4-stage pattern. It kicks off with really intense flattery. Then it moves to isolation, creating this us against the world vibe. From there, it can escalate into creating fear with subtle threats, and the final stage is devaluing you, making you question your own sanity.
And this is all part of a nasty psychological trap called the gain-loss theory. The moment that initial praise and flattery gets taken away, you start working like crazy to get it back. And just like that, you're caught in a cycle, desperate for their approval again.
And here's one last, really important warning. The most convincing manipulators are masters at weaving their lies with little threads of truth. It makes their stories feel so much more plausible and so much harder to doubt.
Okay, we have covered a lot of ground. So let's pull all of this together into one simple final checklist you can actually use. Here it is, your 3-point attraction checklist. First,
Watch her nonverbal cues. Is her body language open and pointed towards you? Second, listen for those paraverbal clusters. Does her tone actually match her words? And third, recognize the verbal patterns. Are her words building you up, or are they slowly tearing you down?
So there you have it, your 3-part attraction detector kit. You now have the tools to look past the surface and start to understand what's really going on. The only question left is, what are you going to look for first?